Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it.
After being beaten in Chennai Test 1 very clinically by the Indian team bounced back in style to thrash England in the second Test match. To discuss about what happened in this last 4 days of Test cricket, I have the Bharat Army fam. I welcome back Naresh, who was missing for the last two shows. I have Gurkirat and none other than Charvi Bhatt, the UAE national player. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anis.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So let me first start with Naresh. Naresh, tell me something. What did India do different in this second Test match, bearing the pitch?
Well, the luck went with them for the toss for sure. But yeah, it was it's predictable that win the toss and bat first. But what was important was the way India approached that batting, the execution of the plan that they want to score fast on day one. They read the pitch very well. They made the right changes of getting more effective spinners in the side. I think these are the things they did well. Rohit Sharma made the biggest difference the way he batted on day one, and that partnership with Rahane. I think that partnership and Rohit's big 160 is the defining moment of the Test match, because that took away the game on day one itself when India got 300, and that itself shows that scoring 300 on day one was something India were going aggressive. That's a very good score to get on day one. And they batted the entire day. That's very important. They took advantage of winning the toss and batting, and they batted the entire day. So I think that defined the game, and then India could dictate terms going ahead from there.
All right. Charvi, let me come to you. Like Naresh mentioned, that India picked the right squad, showed its intent by scoring 300 runs in the first innings. But at one stage, India were 86 for 3. At that time, did you feel that India are again going downhill?
Not really. Though there was a possibility they would be going downhill, but at that point of time, it looked very promising because, again, the Indian batting lineup, even when they included Akshar Patel and they included Kuldeep Yadav, they do bat deep. We do have batsmen down the order, and we had the likes of Rohit Sharma was still yet to come on the crease, and there was obviously hope. We had Rahane that was yet to come out there in the center and see, and obviously they would have not. Perhaps in my prediction, what I was hoping is that they wouldn't get all out by the end of the day, but at least they would pull through and maybe bat on the second day also a little bit, just to add whatever extra bonus runs they could add to the total. I think that really helped also.
All right. Gurkirat, off air you were telling me कि your two predictions came right. पहले मुझे आप बताइए आपका कौन सा पहला prediction right है, so that we अपनी memory हम लोग वापस ताजा करते हैं.
Well, I remember we had spoken, if Rohit Sharma should be persisted, or should a Mayank come in or a KL come in, and I remember very categorically saying that it's just been 3 games that Rohit has opened, and even though he has thrown his wicket away, but he's not looked like a walking wicket. He's looked very assured at the crease, and he just showed it in the next innings. I think the biggest highlight of Rohit's innings was how well he swept. We saw how many wickets went down to the sweep shot. We saw Joe Root getting out to the sweep shot. This was a very difficult wicket to sweep, which we had discussed in preview as well, that if the pitch is going to have bounce and not that much turn, the English batsman will struggle to sweep. So that is what happened. And every time that Rohit swept, he went out. He was outside the line of the stumps, and he swept to very full or full toss deliveries. Is not, the shots the balls that he picked up to sweep, they were the perfect length. So I think that, and this is coming from a batsman who actually doesn't sweep a lot. Rohit, more or less, comes down the track, and he did come down the track to Moeen Ali in the first innings, and hit him for a 6-over long off. But just the way he swept, even though he got out to the ball while sweeping to Jack Leach, it was not the wrong shot selection. It's just that the ball bounced a little bit, which showed how difficult it was going to be to sweep. And I agree with both Naresh and Charvi. Once India crossed 300 on that pitch, it was going to be an uphill task for England, considering the bounce that the pitch had, and the spinners that India had. Akshar Patel is a much taller spinner than a Nadeem and also a Kuldeep, and we saw how he did. He replicated what Ravindra Jadeja does in home test matches, coming around the wicket and just bowling it at 90 Ks. He kept doing that and let pitch do the rest. And I remember speaking of how if the pitch doesn't have pace but has bounce, Kuldeep is going to struggle a little bit. And we saw, whenever he tried to sort of rush it a little, he either went short or was too full. So these are the two things, I had spoken of, and they were there to see. So it's good to feel vindicated. That's how it goes.
Well, that's our statsman Gurkirat. I'm definitely going to talk about Kuldeep in the second part of the show. But Naresh, we spoke about Rohit, that he stamped his authority on day one and probably gave India that start at lunch, probably when we were around 100 for 3. He had scored almost 70 or 80 runs. But along with him, there was a partnership with Rahane, and Rahane was coming under the back of a lot of pressure, where we had few of us wanting him to be replaced with another player. So tell me something. What did you find different in Rahane in this test match?
The assurance of going towards the ball and playing, both Rohit and Rahane showed that this wicket, if you go right up to the pitch of the ball, you can, negate the turn which the bowler would get. And agreed, Moeen Ali took 4 wickets in that inning, but he went for more than 100 runs. So they chose their bowlers whom to attack very well. They didn't actually, the English spinners couldn't settle against them, whether it was Leach or Moeen Ali. And in the end, these two have grown in Mumbai pitches. I've seen how Mumbai pitches play. So, so for them, it was a very good condition to show that, a good afternoon after lunch, how they can build a partnership. And that particular session, when they didn't lose a wicket and they took the entire authority of the game, and Rahane was very affirmative in the way he was playing the spinners. That was the difference we saw. And even English batsmen, the difference was that they didn't seem to be very sure of what they wanted to commit in the shot, and that's where, on such a wicket, scoring fast was the defining moment. If you try to block, you tend to, kind of lose your wicket. So that's what Rohit and Rahane showed, that be affirmative, go for the ball and try to score as much as possible quickly.
Okay. There was one more player. Sorry, Gurkirat, go ahead.
Just one thing that I wanted to add on the Rahane bit. Every time, so Jack Leach was actually bowling well, but every time, Jack Leach pulled his length a little bit to, try and, bowl the faster one, Rahane was up to the task. Every time Jack Leach, shortened his length, he got cut for a 4, which actually disturbed him. And that I think was the highlight of Rahane's innings. I was very disappointed that he didn't get 100 once again, because he looked good for 100 and he had done all the hard work. So that is perhaps where my disappointment lies with Rahane. But apart from that, it was a brilliant knock.
All right. Charvi, my question to you, that was one more player in that first innings of India, Rishabh Pant, who again played his Adam Gilchrist style attacking cricket, which also made India, rather help India cross 300. Now, there will be days when he's going to come off. There will be days he will not come off. So you back his style of playing this type of cricket?
Today, cricket has changed. With all the limited overs format that we started from test to 50 to 50 to 20, and now from 20 we've come to 10, and there's a possibility we may even come to 5 because we want the Olympic qualification. So the game is transforming on a daily basis. But when it comes to Rishabh Pant, he's definitely an aggressive batsman. Considering the fact that India had an aim that they wanted to reach a certain score on day one, his batting style, absolutely valid. The fact that we need the runs were required and he came there and he delivered. Yes, definitely there are going to be days when that sort of a style is not going to be something that will be required. So that's going to be the testing point for Rishabh Pant, to see how resilient he is to pull it out through the gutter, to see that, okay, now am I going to be able to be more patient as a test player? His natural characteristic is aggressive, but I think, test is a format where how he adapts and how flexible he's going to be in putting himself into different situations is something that we will all have to wait and watch to a time where it comes, where the going is tough and he has to really wait it out there. He's shown a little bit of those characteristics in the past, and we hope that he's able to and replicate those characteristics again.
All right. Gurkirat, I probably want to ask you the same question about Rishabh Pant. Now, from the time he's got into that attacking style of playing. We all know he's an attacking player, but it all changed in Sydney in that second innings where he almost pulled off a win, and then in the next test match at Gabba, and which continued in the first test in Chennai, and also the second test in Chennai. Now we are now all feeling when Rishabh comes to bat, he's going to attack and he's going to play that. I'm repeating the line again, Adam Gilchrist style. Do you feel we have found that Adam Gilchrist?
Early days yet, because to be an Adam Gilchrist or to have that sort of a game plan or a attacking style, you will have to go through your days of criticism also, because it is not going to come off on all days. So I wouldn't be so eager to say that we have found the next Adam Gilchrist. Also, I'm never too big on having these comparisons. I think they always put an undue pressure to a youngster. You've seen what happened with Prithvi Shaw. I remember, Ravi Shastri saying that he has a bit of Sehwag, he has a bit of Sachin, and he has a bit of Lara. And just after playing 5 Test matches, he got dropped. So I'm never a fan of doing comparisons. But yes, he's definitely the kind of wicketkeeper that you need in today's times, because even if you compare it with the other wicketkeeper batsmen of different teams, you have a Quinton de Kock in South Africa, who's also a very able batsman. You see what a Mohammad Rizwan is doing for Pakistan. He's also pulling them out whenever they are in trouble. You saw what Joshua De Silva, I hope I've got the name right, for the West Indies wicketkeeper, how he's going. And you've seen how Little Das also has done well for Bangladesh, how Johnny Bairstow, you saw how Ben Foakes also batted. So we are truly in the era where you can't have specialist wicketkeepers. We've seen that with BJ Watling as well for New Zealand. So, regardless of how, like I said before, regardless of how Rishabh Pant, goes with the bat and, does with the gloves, you have to persist with him. And this test match was also, very satisfying for Rishabh Pant as a wicketkeeper. Looking at how he kept today. The ball was doing all sort of things, bouncing from awkward angles, and he was able to collect most of them. And, the stumping that he did today, collecting the ball whenever it's coming through the legs is never easy. So for me, this test match was a lot more satisfying to see Rishabh Pant, the wicketkeeper, than Rishabh Pant with the batsman, because in India, I don't, see any other option who should play ahead of him as a wicketkeeper, because what he's going to do with the bat, he's going to compensate, in some way or the other, even if he has a keeping error. Not only because he's going to score runs, because in India, you will see your bowlers creating enough chances for that odd drop or an odd stumping, to be compensated for. It's when we go abroad and how he keeps well to spinners and, keeps overall is going to determine how long, India can play Rishabh Pant, the wicketkeeper batsman. So far, there are great signs, and, you would hope that this continues, because, this goes for everyone. You keep learning. The more you play, the more you do your job. And Rishabh Pant's no different. He's shown that how he's learning on the job, whether be it with his temperament, how he batted in Gabba, where he kept leaving the ball outside the off stump whenever Nathan Lyon was giving him the bait. And even in his 58 in this innings, he was giving Joe Root the respect that he deserved, because he was turning the ball quite fast around past his bat. So he was okay to bide his time. It was only when Moeen Ali flighted a little bit, or Jack Leach flighted a little bit, he came down the track. So his shot selection is definitely improving. Like I said, we'd have to hope and keep praying that this continues, and we have a very able replacement of MS Dhoni, the wicketkeeper in the test side.
Okay. Naresh, a lot has been said in the English media, especially Michael Vaughan, and then we have the junior brother, Junior Waugh, saying that the wicket was not good. It was probably not an ideal test wicket. What would you like to say about it?
Well, I think the best spinner in the world answered them, Shane Warne. Actually, it was definitely a difficult wicket, but you cannot say that it wasn't a test wicket. It was a difficult wicket, and it played very similar on all the days. There was turn, there was bounce. And as you said, 86 for 3 in first session on day 1. And even on day 2, there were about 4 wickets that fell, or rather 8 wickets fell. And then today also, yesterday and today also. So there was very identical way the wicket behaved. I wouldn't say it wasn't a test wicket. It was just that India was playing better spinners on this pitch. That's why I said the team selection was very, very good compared to how England went ahead only with two spinners. They could have retained best, to be honest, over here, but they didn't do that because of the rotation policy which they are going through. And surprising, even Anderson didn't play, considering that Jeffrey Archer was also injured. But yeah, even the pace bowlers had their bit. I think Stone and Ishant Sharma got a wicket off their first over in the respective innings. So I wouldn't. It was more on how you apply yourself, and that is where even the Indian batsman technique showed how well you can. Once you settle. I mean, number 8 Ashwin got 100. He was also so affirmative scoring on that pitch, and that is where England was a bit behind, where they were not sure of playing forward or back foot, and I think there was that fear that this how much the turn would be. But as far as the pitch, I think it was identical on all the days. There was nothing very, very vicious about it.
Charvi, you have played cricket at the highest level. Okay, you haven't played test cricket, but you have played 50 overs cricket, 20 overs cricket. If you were given a wicket like this, would you complain that the wicket was not a test wicket?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. As a player, you are to be ready mentally and physically for any situation, whatever may come by. It's very easy to criticize something which does not go your way. Even, forget about cricket, and even normal life, things don't go our way. We say, oh, that's the bad thing. It's very easy to point a finger and say that. I really agree with what Naresh said. There wasn't a very easy wicket to either bat or bowl on. It's a very difficult wicket. For a bowler, for example, who doesn't have control, the ball would have gone all over the place. We are only talking about it from a very batting perspective. If you look at it from a bowling perspective, if the bowlers were not able to get any control, they would have gone all over the place. The English bowlers, for example, they were successful. They were getting the right turn. They were getting the right bounce. Virat Kohli's wicket in the first innings is a good example of getting the right turn and bounce. It was pitched absolutely right. It turned in, came in. Virat Kohli obviously did not anticipate that. So I wouldn't say that it was a bad wicket. It was a difficult wicket for sure. But then again, I wouldn't complain as a player. And I don't think any cricketer under the sun should not be complaining for a wicket like this. This is test cricket. It's meant to test you. And the wicket should be difficult. If it's easy, then what's the fun in winning?
Yeah, and just to add, in both the tests we saw 40 wickets fall. So I think that's the best thing to happen for Test cricket.
True.
Okay. I am sure Michael Vaughan would be hearing this, even though this show is all about talking cricket and no controversy. But I thought I should bring this point out. Now, I want to ask this definitely to Gurkirat, because he did mention about Kuldeep Yadav, that if there's going to be bounce, he would not be successful. Now tell me something, Gurkirat. We had enough runs in the bank, probably in the first innings. Let's presume in the second innings at least. In the whole test match, Yadav bowled only 12 overs. Do you feel Virat Kohli underutilized him?
I think you talk of underutilization once your other resources are not doing the job. In this case, it was important for Kohli and the Indian team to get as many wickets as possible before the ball gets soft, because we saw how when the ball gets soft, the run scoring becomes easy. We saw that on the third day as well, when Ashwin and Kohli were batting. Because once the SG ball goes soft, you will not have enough chances to take wickets. So it was very important, with the way Akshar and Ashwin were bowling, to keep them on and wait till the time and to see how much purchase they were getting. Had they not been getting wickets, say if England would have survived the first half hour or 40 minutes without a fall of wicket, then probably you would have said, okay, that Kuldeep Yadav is not being utilized. I feel that Kohli utilized all the bowlers well. Who was underutilized in this test match was Oli Stone. Oli Stone bowled only 7 overs in the Indian second innings, and with the amount of bounce that was there, he could have easily been utilized, especially when say Ashwin came out to bat, because the ball had gone soft and he was showing a good amount of comfort in playing the spinners. So at that time he could have been brought on. I don't think it would have changed the result of the game, because India were already more than 250, 270 runs ahead, but it would have, ensured that England don't stay in the field for longer. So that could have been the case. Regarding the pitch, like Naresh and, Charlie ma'am mentioned that it was a difficult pitch, but legacies are made on difficult pitches. Everyone talks of Kevin Peterson's 186 because it came on a difficult wicket. Everyone talks of Smith's 100 in Pune because it came on a difficult wicket. You talk of Virat Kohli's 123 in Perth because it was a difficult pitch. No one else scored a 50. You talk of Virat Kohli's 149 at Edgbaston for the same reason. You talk of Sachin's 100 in Perth in 92 because of the same reason, because it's come on difficult wickets. So, you can either sort of, keep complaining and moaning about it, or you can, take it in your stride and put out a performance. So, that is how, great players are made. So, like I said, everyone will always remember Kevin Peterson's 186 for years to come because it came on a difficult wicket. So, that is what is going to separate great teams and good teams. India under Virat Kohli seldom complain, or I think rarely complain about pitches. I remember, when they were playing in Johannesburg 2018, it was a South African team that was complaining. India didn't complain. India lost in Lords in 2 days, even when they didn't have the right conditions because they came out to bat under overcast conditions and got all out. Virat Kohli didn't complain. So, all the talk of the pitch, I don't think, made any sense, honestly. And even if you would compare it with the number of overs that were played, Edgbaston, India lost by 30 runs and the match duration was shorter. It ended in 9 sessions or something. This still went into the 11th session. It's just that India were good enough. So,
yeah,
I don't think there was anything wrong with
and
it.
just to add on the controversies, with England batted 2 days on the first test, and there were talks about the new SG ball, the seam wearing out, and no one spoke about the ball in this test. Everyone started speaking about the pitch. So
I wanted to, in fact, start this question like Gurkirat says, India don't complain about the pitch, but India complain about the ball. India complain about the umpiring. Anyways, on the lighter side, Naresh,
Just one thing on the SG balls. Virat Kohli and Ashwin have been vocal about the quality of SG balls since 2016. It's not something new. Even when India have, defeated teams and whitewashed them, they've still spoken of how the ball loses its shape. So the SG ball controversy is not new. It's been up for around 4 or 5 years now.
And so is Virat Kohli complaining to umpires if not getting wicket. Is also not new, Gurkirat. Let's accept it. Naresh, you felt like Gurkirat did mention that Kohli had enough in the tank to get the maximum out of Ashwin and Akshar. But I probably felt that a boy was coming, rather a player. Like I remember Diya saying, "Jitna time usne bench pe lagaya, utna humne ATM ki line mein nahi lagaya during demonetization." In the second innings, we had enough runs in the bank. Probably giving him a little extra 10 overs wouldn't have given him confidence. Okay, today he again got 6 overs, then a catch was dropped off his bowling of Root. But an extra 10 overs, and maybe he comes in that last test match in Ahmedabad. Your view?
The kind of lead India had, they wouldn't want to be in the field for long. Let's be honest about that. They wanted to wrap up and keep the pressure on. If you see the first test, Nadeem and Washington Sundar were number 4 and 5. So your top 3 bowlers were Bumrah, Ishant and Ashwin. Here, the third bowler got replaced by Akshar Patel. So the top 3 bowlers were Ashwin, Ishant and Akshar Patel. So I think Kohli wanted to get the maximum out of his top 3. And your number 4 and number 5, if you go to see, even Mohammad Siraj didn't bowl much. But when he bowled well. He got a wicket of the first ball in India. So I think that was his plan. It's good to see Kuldeep get the 2 wickets in the end, and unfortunate drop of Joe Root. But I think it was more Virat wanted to keep the pressure on. He wanted as much big as the win as possible. 317 is also a very big margin. I think Kuldeep came up to be as little similar from the turn perspective. But yeah, he comes a little quicker off the air. That's why he gets more bounce, and this pitch was giving that bounce. So, but whatever little exposure he got in this test match is good for him. We may not see him in the pink ball test, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the 4th test if the pitch is similar from a turning perspective. What I have seen, little bit of Ahmedabad pitch, it's very dry and got little grass, but very dry. What we saw in the Mushtaq Ali finals, it's just slow and dry.
Charvi, you have been a captain of UAE cricket team. You had three spinners, Ashwin, you had Akshar Patel debuting, and both the bowlers have done well. And you have a player who's going through a lack of confidence, who's been on the bench. Would you think something different, or you would probably said go for the kill and let me win the match?
Um, both aspects extremely important, and it's a very difficult decision making situation in the mind of a captain. And I'm sure Virat Kohli must have had some sort of dilemmas, by himself as well. Yes, it's important to give Kuldeep Yadav that opportunity and that platform to outshine himself, considering the fact that there was room for error. There could have been slight room for error, like we've been mentioning, that it wouldn't have made such a big difference either way. But at the same time, we want to sustain the pressure. So what do we do? I think Kuldeep Yadav was given a fair chance where he did very well. Yes, he did get hit for a couple of runs, but I think I will not want to take the credit away from him. Yes, a couple of overs could have been given to him, but keeping that pressure on is also something that is right. So, as a captain, I would have just bought both the situation to be very neutral. I've given you your opportunity. You've done very well. Great. But at the same time, we need to keep the pressure on as well because we need to win the match, with a margin. We have to make sure that we don't give away too much. The bigger the margin, the better it is for any team in any format of the game. You don't want to bring the, match very close. At the end of the day, you don't want to play on till the next day. You want to wrap up the match the same day. And the asking task in this game for Virat Kohli was that he wanted to wrap up the match before day 5. There was his intent was he wanted to wrap up the match before day 5. And for that purpose, not giving Kuldeep Yadav those extra couple of overs would have not made him unhappy. At the end of the day, cricket is a team game. We all play for the team. So our first decisions are whatever is the benefit for the team rather than for the individual.
Okay. To be fair to all three of you all have made the right comments. And as I said, this show is about expressing your opinion. I, as an outsider or passionate Indian fan, has felt in the last 3 years, Kuldeep, who was once upon a time a trump card, obviously in the ODI and the T20, has lost his confidence. Especially it happened, I think, last to last IPL where probably Moeen Ali tore him apart. And then he went on a low, and even the 2019 World Cup. That's the reason I asked you this question. My only hope that whichever franchise he's going to play next time, I know even though KKR has retained him, but I believe he's a guy who can be a match winner like Ashwin is today. That's the reason I asked you this question. Anyway, moving on, Gurkirat, my question. Now, you mentioned that it was a good wicket where if you had applied, you could have batted well. Now, in the first innings we saw, I can't remember any batsman except Ben Foakes who applied well. So you felt that English were either not playing good cricket or it was in the mind that they were seeing the bounce, the way it was bouncing, and they got scared or probably didn't play the right cricket.
Most English batsmen, have this. I can actually, talk of their approach to playing spin bowling in one line. It's just sweep shot and inshallah. It's actually that. So they have to, get out of the habit of playing sweep. You just cannot play the sweep shot all the time. As Ben Foakes showed, and as how even though Moeen Ali did it late, he showed that you have to use your feet to smother the spin. This was not the pitch where you could stay on. Also, credit to Indian bowlers, they didn't give them enough balls to sweep. They kept bowling in the line of stumps, and sweeping from stumps is always difficult because the LBW comes into the picture. This was something which both Shadab and Sundar didn't do in the first test. So that also made their plans of taking the Indian bowling apart difficult. And once Joe Root got out before lunch, it was just as if the whole English batting lineup had given up in some way or the other. Only Ben Foakes applied himself, and once come Ahmedabad, they're going to use their feet a lot more, as what Dan Lawrence tried to do on the evening of day 3, and even you saw Joe Burns also trying to Rory Burns rather trying to attack the spinners a little bit, and pull them off their line. But he got dismissed, playing one shot too early. but you just cannot have this approach that you will try and get out of jail by playing the sweep. You will not get the same mistakes committed by the same bowling lineup twice. This is a good enough bowling lineup, so that was the issue. And this is why I spoke of how they might miss a Bairstow and a Butler, because these two have the game to attack and unsettle the line of spinners. Johnny Bairstow coming back for the next two tests is a huge addition for the English batting lineup. Who goes out, it would remain to be seen, but it's a very important addition, because I think apart from Joe Root, the person who plays spin well, or is the second best when it comes to playing spin, is Johnny Bairstow, and he's played the IPL and played spin well. In the 2019 World Cup, he scored 100 against India, and he just took both Kuldeep and Chahal apart because he used his feet, and he picks the ball from the hand. So that is going to be an important addition. And like I said, you just cannot say sweep and inshallah. That's not going to happen on most Indian wickets.
Okay, we are definitely going to discuss about the squad for both the teams in the pre-match for the third test match, which is happening on 24th. So we'll probably catch up on 22nd and make our calls who's going to be in Indian 11 and who's going to be in the England 11. Naresh, my next question to you. In the second innings, India were 100 for 6 in a precarious position when Ashwin joined Kohli. Were you concerned, or were you happy? We have had a lead of 198, 197 and 100 on the board. Even if India fold for 120, 130, 300 would have been good enough, or 320 would have been good enough?
Yeah, similar to what we got in the first inning would have been good enough, but again, it would have been poor for India for getting out early if they had. And that is my concern if I go back from the Adelaide test, the 6 test matches that have happened since we started again post the pandemic. Our first session performance has been quite average. We have been losing wickets in first session, whichever day we are playing. And obviously, pink ball Adelaide third day, how much ever we want, we won't be able to forget. So that's the major concern, I think, which India needs to address. Whoever is batting that first session, we saw in the first inning, we saw Akshar Patel and Pant starting off, but all the 4 went off. Yes, Pant's misjudgment of taking a single of the first ball of Stone, he was more angry with himself than with his partner. But same thing happened yesterday. We quickly lost Pujara, unfortunate run out, but then we kept losing quickly those wickets. But what Ashwin and Kohli again did was what Rohit Sharma and Rahane did on the first day post lunch, on how to play a longer inning and be more assertive. And Kohli corrected himself quickly. The way he got out in the first inning, Moeen Ali kept bowling the same kind of a line to him, but he was more assertive to move his bat and pad together close to the ball and to the pitch of the ball instead of trying for an extravagant cover drive. So he corrected himself well. But the biggest concern for India remains is tackling the first session well. Especially in India, your overnight batsmen are good batsmen. They need to play out the first session. That is something which needs immediate attention.
Fair point. Charvi, you feel the fast bowlers were not bowled, or were the spinners good enough for this test match? Because if you see both the teams, they hardly bowled. In this fact, Oli Stone's bowling rather less than 7 overs, Stewart bowling 9 overs, and in the Indian innings, you hardly had to bowl our pacers. I know it's a question where India has got so many wickets with the spin. Why would you ask? But England, on the other hand, had a long partnership between Virat and Ashwin. Do you feel they could have used them differently?
They could have used them differently. When you've got the resources, you'd rather go ahead and you'd rather use them. That's why they're there. But again, considering the way the wicket was behaving, there was more opportunity for the spinners to get the wickets. And the wicket was more inclined to give the spinners awards, over the fast bowlers the award. So I wouldn't take that away from them, however. But yes, when the partnership had started to build and it had started to become so strong, what Joe Root could have thought is to bring in that pacer, just for that switch of bowling. Sometimes we say just bring in that bowler who's been resting for some time, just for that change of pace, just to break that momentum. That could have probably helped, rather than allowing this partnership to build as much as it did. Well, that possibly could have been a possibility, but I just feel that the wicket was more inclined towards spinners, and that's perhaps the reason for the choices.
Okay. I guess we've discussed quite a lot about what India did good and what probably England should have done better. Gurkirat, before we sign all three of, I'll ask one question. You're one player who made the biggest impact in this test match. I know there's no secret about it, but I want from your side, your opinion.
Rohit Sharma has to be hands down. Spot under pressure, a lot of doubts on his technique. Side in trouble at 86 for three, and like I said, that is one of the best exhibitions of the sweep shot that I've seen from him and from any Indian batsman, because Indian batsmen largely don't play the sweep. Indian batsmen are taught to play the spin while coming down the track and pick the ball from the hand. We're not an Australian team or a English team that we have to rely on the sweep. We generally come down the track, but the way how much the ball was turning, and with Jack Leach taking the ball away from Rohit, which has always been a weakness, for him to play the way he did, brilliant stuff. Also, Ollie, he also played Ollie Stone pretty well too. Ollie Stone was being extremely penetrative and threatening in the first session. So has to be Rohit Sharma for me without a doubt. Just another thing that I want to add over here is, it's a trivia. Uh, India have not lost a test match since September 28, whenever they have played a debutant. Hanuma Vihari in Oval 2018 was the last debutant to lose a test match. After that, we have had Prithvi Shaw, Shardul Thakur, Mayank Agarwal, Shahbaz Nadeem, Shubman Gill, Mohammad Siraj, Navdeep Saini, T. Natarajan, Washington Sundar, and Akshar Patel debut and win, and not lose. Only Navdeep Saini was the one who played who
Drew.
played a draw game. Everyone else, on debut since September 2018 has been on the winning end. So we often talk of how debutants give India a lot of grief, but this time it's been the other way. Debutants have brought in the much needed luck for the Indian side in the last 3 years or so.
Well, that's our statsman, Gurkirat. He has all the stats, packed in his portly, and he comes out with it, which we all love it. Naresh, one fine line from you. He said Rohit Sharma, who made the biggest impact.
Yeah, definitely
You
I
have
agree with
any
him. Yeah,
difference of opinion?
not at all. Absolutely agree with him, because like you said, 86 for three at lunch, or rather little 100 at three, 100 for three at lunch. India could have got bowled out on day one if that partnership or Rohit's inning would have not gone, and we could have been below 300. And not necessarily the outcome would have been different, but the entire strategy of how to approach the game from both the sides would have been different. So getting 300 in on day one because of that big 100, he defined the complete test match. So Rohit Sharma definitely the man for that game.
Fair enough. Both Gurkirat and Naresh say it's Rohit Sharma, but we all know what Ashwin did, and he got the man of the match. Do you stamp that, Charvi?
Definitely. So I don't want to take any credit away from the man. I think being a bowler, majorly, Ashwin, and I will go into the technicalities, the way he's played the sweep shots. You know how we say the head, shoulder, hand, and foot all in one line? And I could have literally drawn the line on the screen to tell you that it was an absolutely straight line. And he's played some shots with absolute perfection in terms of technique and timing. And it's very difficult to find something like this in a bowler. He's obviously, probably, I think he was having a ball of his time. He was enjoying himself out there, and that's how he went to play with the free mind, because of the stage that was set by Rohit Sharma. So obviously both of them, and I think for any youngster, this is a very good game to watch when we say from the terms of teamwork. So if I'm the captain for my team, I would want my team to watch this game to understand the different aspects of the dynamics and how they worked as a team. Rohit Sharma standing there as an anchor, Rahane supporting him, building that partnership, setting that stage. And then Ashwin coming in the second innings, not only contributing with the ball, but also with the bat, and so brilliantly contributed with the bat. I think that was, I mean, how we say sometimes when you see such a good player play such good shots, it really gives you happiness from within. And that was something, I had a constant smile on my face when I saw him bat. It was just a delight to watch him bat in the second innings.
Wonderful. Guys, we had a decent chat show. India has won. We are all smiling. It's 1-1, two to go. We're going to, meet England again at the new stadium in Ahmedabad. Capacity of almost 100,000 people, but I believe they're going to allow 35,000 people. And we got to see how the ping ball goes for India. Ping ball
Yeah.
test match. The last time we played ping ball, as you say, कि ये 36 number हम कभी भूलेंगे नहीं.
नहीं,
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening.